Hey there, folks. I'm Ash. Today we're having Dan, the founder of a prominent martial arts equipment company, and he's been tied to the likes of Andrew Tate, Monty McCann, Alex Reed, and many other well-known names. How you doing, mate?
Really good, thank you, Ash. Yeah, really nice to meet you. How you doing?
Cool. Yeah, good, man, good. So just kind of going straight into it, man. You've been tied to Andrew Tate. I saw some of the Andrew Tate videos, and bloody hell, man, you guys go back a long, long way. Like all the way till like 11, 12 years ago, in fact. How did that relationship come about?
To be honest, I know it's crazy how it's all sort of blown up like 10 years later. It's sort of bigger deal now than it sort of ever was. He was a kickboxer. He wasn't really a sort of big name publicly, but he was a big name in the kickboxing sport. Yeah, when he sort of his name was popping up quite a lot. When he got in contact on Facebook, I wanted to sort of work with him really. He's definitely someone I was looking forward to collaborate with.
Yeah, he obviously back then, yeah, you look at some of the videos on Sidekick Boxing, and he's got a huge following, as we both know. He's one of the most famous men on the planet. And they kind of went viral because they were old videos, and I saw some of the comments as well. They're like, oh, he was always like that. Is that safe to say? He was just always been a bit of a kind of brash type of confident type of fella.
Well, yeah, I would say definitely the confidence has gotten to where he has, and he's definitely brave along with it. He was doing things that people have only started doing now because they sort of need to get their name out there. It's sort of the competitions out there, and he was ahead of the curve really when it sort of comes to sort of content. And it was something he's been doing 10 years ago. Seems to be sort of good, just as good today.
Yeah, and clearly he helped the brand a little bit at the early days. Very kind of polarizing figure. Obviously back then he was known more as a kind of world champion, two-time world champion, great kickboxer as well. In terms of kind of how he is, he is extremely polarizing. How integral was he in the early days?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, his character, he was a really nice guy. He's really easy to work with. We had the same sort of thinking as well with marketing. I was a paint sprayer at the time, so I've sort of started my track. I started this business as a side hustle. So I didn't have much money like these big corporate companies that have millions of pounds. So I needed someone that was going to sort of get my name out there. Andrew Tate was brave enough to face, front a lot of our marketing tactics. We had to sort of quite a budget, really. You're looking back, But no, he was a really nice guy, easy to work with. Yeah, he's funny. We used to have a laugh, and that's what made it quite fun, really. So
Absolutely, man, absolutely. But changing gears a little bit, you actually started off with a vehicle accident repair center at 23. 2 years in, you saw the maximum potential of it. You sold it shortly after you started, or shortly before you started Sidekick Boxing. What was the main reasons you started the brand? Was it due to passion more than revenue?
you know what? Yeah, I suppose it was because kickboxing at the time was a big part of my life. I was training like heavily, like nearly every day. Sort of got my black belt, competed. Yeah, I love the sport. I grew up liking martial arts. It's just I think it's instilled in me. I just love it. I've never been a fighter, but I've loved the actual training and the discipline itself. But yeah, it's always so starting it. I was training. My dad went to Thailand. This is actually the story. My dad went to Thailand and he said, he came back and the stuff's really cheap out there. I was like, is it really? So I started exploring it, like the Twins, the Beartex, all them sort of brands. But it so happened that they weren't as cheap as what we initially thought. So I was sort of thinking if I wanted to invest sort of quite heavily in the brands, I sort of like 3,000 at the time start. And I thought, I'd rather start my own brands. You can sort of take it to where you want to go with it. So investigate more into that, and that's how it all started, really.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of the videos of fighters kind of mentioning your brand as well. They're like, it's solid kind of glove, it's good value for money and good kind of wrist support as well. That's one of the main things, yeah, that people really are impressed with in terms of your brand, Dan. What would you say? So when you first started off, was it a bit of a process? Did you have, kind of just to be frank with your blunt, was it not so good at the beginning and you kind of had to develop that and evolve it? Or did you have a vision in mind from the early beginning?
Well, the vision of mine, I didn't want to be working with lower level, didn't want poor quality equipment. If I do something, I want it to be the best, or at least try and get it to the best, you know. And I wanted it to be tested. People like Andrew Tate that could hit hard, train hard. If they endorse it, it's pretty much good for 99% of other people, you know. So that was always a vision, you know. If the product weren't right, I wouldn't sell it, you know. So that was it. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. So you sponsored other fighters. You know, you've got Jamie Brown. I saw a video a couple of weeks ago. In fact, you've had Molly McCann as well, wear your gloves. You know, even before her UFC days, which is insane. You guys kind of building up quite a bit of a legacy in terms of that sense. Who's been your favorite fighter to work with?
Um, That's a tough one. That's definitely a
Yeah,
tough one. I probably would say Andrew Tate, if I'm honest, because the personal relationship, you know, every fighter that I sponsor, I work with, I don't just do it for, you know, just to make the numbers up, get more sales. I do it because I actually become quite good friends with them and I want to grow that relationship. You know, I speak to them daily. I want to know how their fight goes. If I can't watch it, you know, I'll be there if I can, you know. So that, I think that's part of owning the brand and sort of supporting people.
yeah, definitely, man. So changing gears, you mentioned you mentioned this Notorious show in Ipswich. Tell me about that. You said you turned up with a sidekick equipment, and then there's no medical staff there. Like, you're like, what the hell? You ended
Well,
up getting a
to be honest, the guy that
yeah.
ran it, he was actually a champion himself. So yeah,
Right.
like me and my family, we went all the way out to Ipswich, and it's an organised show, you know. And the IKF was actually going to be sanctioning it, and I think they're the ones that initially pulled the plug because they was like, "This ain't right," you know. The promoter ain't organised, like yeah, medics or anything like that, you know. So he couldn't, the fight couldn't go ahead. So you had all these fighters at the backstage, you know, that I was with them. They're all getting a bit sort of antagonising, you know. They sort of like getting a bit rowdy. What's going on here? So yeah, so we
Wow.
had to sort of pick up our stuff and sort of leg it out the fire escape. Yeah, that was
That's
always a bit
crazy. You had to leg it.
pretty much, yeah. Because everyone, all the people that's queuing in to pay tickets, they couldn't get in because there was no fights going ahead. It was in a nightclub and it was getting quite rowdy at the time. And yeah, we thought, you know what, the fight's still going ahead. We better just go on here. So yeah,
That's
it's not a.
crazy. Did people get their money back? Like,
I don't know. I think a lot of people got bummed, which ain't nice, is it? But you know, big thing in the fighters, they've travelled all the way down from like North or you know South, you know, from
yeah.
all over. You know, and it just was just a mess. You know, it's poor organisation. But yeah, and that's the thing. Sponsors shows like that, you get nothing from it, and it's
Mm.
time and money, and it's not professional, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. What was the kind of biggest lesson? Because obviously that was more the early days. You wouldn't be in a position where you get yourself in a spot like that now because you've built up your brand. But what was the biggest lesson you learned from that, Dan?
Well, from that, I think just yeah, who you work with. I think you just got to be careful sometimes who you work with. But I think the
Yeah,
bigger, you know, the bigger name you get, you start knowing who's who in the sport, and you know to trust. And if something's going to fall, you know, accidents do happen. Certain shows do cancel, you know, and it does happen, doesn't it? You know, but
yeah,
yeah, you sort of rather it didn't. That's for sure.
yeah, 100%. I imagine like running something like this year can be extremely stressful as well, man. What would you say is the most stressful aspect of this kind of something like doing something like this as well?
Or just owning a brand, full
Yeah.
stop. You mean?
Yeah,
I
just
think
owning a brand, building it from scratch, yeah.
It's
All those
it's
kind of things.
difficult. Yeah, it's probably one of the most challenging things you can do because when I
Yeah.
started in 2010, I always want to be a bit different, you know. And starting a brand in 2010, no one was really doing it. You had the big boys, but I thought, hold on, you're going to have me on the scene here, you know. So, but now there's a lot of them come through, a lot of them been and gone. So you do get a lot of competition. And to try and get fighters to sort of like really promote your brands, it's difficult, you know, because a lot of them they just want to take a picture and just does it really, you know, do enough to get them sales
Yeah.
up, you know? And I think no disrespect to fighters, but I think sometimes they might feel like they can bring more to the brands than what they can actually do, you know. So you could end up spending a lot of money investing into them, but you might not necessarily get a lot back, you know. And sometimes that's part parcel of the sport. So
Yeah, just going by our own thing as well. Like, with just kind of in relation to that, I know exactly what you mean. You bring fighters on onto a channel, you're thinking this guy's gonna bring in some good views. It's kind of similar concept. They don't, but you build up that relationship. It's actually about building relationships up
yeah.
because further down the line, they might actually be a big name. You've always got to be good with people, no?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I've always, you know, honoured people what I've made and what I've agreed, you know, and that's it. And I think, yeah, you sort of hope you want long term like longevity with people because, you know, someone that just uploads a picture and you don't see them again and you've given them gift, it's not really good long term. It's not stable enough, is it? So, you know, like someone like Andrew Tate, I think he was the longest person we sponsored. It went from 2012 to 2016. So he went almost we went to the Big Brother house, you know. So yeah, it
Yeah.
was a long time, you know, and it's
That's
we
crazy.
stood by each other.
Are you guys still in contact? Is it something that you want to have that relate? I mean, it's a little bit. He's a controversial figure, but he'd be great to kind of be associated with. But was he just kind of too big now? It's just
Yeah,
like
I
dude.
think, you know, I have messaged him even recently about doing it. I've even said like,
Yeah.
you know, putting my post at 10 grand, you're up for doing it. But I think his team, when I sort of sponsored him initially, they never really liked it. I
Oh,
don't know whether
really?
it was, yeah, it never
Why?
really, a little bit sour. I don't know, maybe because me and Andrew just got to get know each other just through like social media. So there's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
management team or anything like that. And I just don't think his team really liked it because he just, I don't know whether they just didn't want to see Sidekick grow or they saw bigger things for Andrew at the time. I just don't know, but it's a bit bitter. But even to this day, I don't think Andrew would do anything again just for that reason, really. So it's a bit of a
Wow.
shame. Yeah.
You should try and go for Tristan, man. That's probably
Yeah.
to get Andrew on.
But they've got so much other stuff going on, haven't they? They're not down in the fighting scene anymore that, you know,
True.
but
Yeah,
it would be great to see. Yeah. So it's sort of, unfortunately, I don't
definitely,
think
man.
it'll happen soon.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. So you've worked with big brands, Dan, Cage Warriors, Bellator, Bama, Glory, worked with some huge promotional names nationally and internationally as well. Is there a particular brand or promotion that you're most proud of?
You know what? I must say for the UK, the one I've worked with probably would be Stand and Bay. And I've got to give
Hmm.
him credit to Kyle Greaves, actually. I'll give him a bit of a shout out there. He had a tie, loves his tie. He earned the tie promotion, but obviously had K1 as well in there. But the professionalism that run from beginning to end on every one of his shows, he's definitely a perfectionist, you know, and it was consistent. Yeah, I think that's probably one of the best ones I've worked with. You know, it was just flawless, really. You know, it's a good promotion.
Yeah. Honestly, when I was looking at it, I'm like, wow, that's crazy, man. Like next step is probably just like UFC, no, at one point. I mean,
Yeah,
if
do you
they
know
can
what?
bring sponsors in, that is, it's not
Yeah,
like that anymore.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. But yeah, no, I mean that would be my goal. Because sponsoring something like one championship or UFC, I think that would be the ultimate goal, really, for Sidekick, definitely.
Yeah,
So
definitely. So martial arts, is that something that's always been ingrained in you, Dan? Because I know you started training in kickboxing, your brother trained in judo a little bit. Your mum was a big fan of Van Damme movies. Am I hearing that correct?
yeah, that's
Is that
absolutely
always
right.
been a part of you?
I think it is. I don't feel I can get it out of the system, to be honest. Yeah, I think growing up, I sort of, I loved the Street Fighter computer games. My mum would always get we'd go up to Showtime video stoppage. It'd always be a Van Damme movie. That's all I ever remember. I think she'd
Did you
come
say so
across.
you said Showtime?
Yeah, no, Showtime. It was a video store that when I was a kid growing up. It's
Oh man,
yeah,
yeah,
we
I
used to
know,
all get
I
Van
know this
Damme
is
movies.
giving away our age a little bit, but yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, we'd always get a Van Damme VHS, whatever it was at the time, and I just think, yeah, martial arts and stuff. It's always fascinating me. I think, yeah, it's sort of been instilled from a young age. I think it's important, I think it teaches you a lot of good things. I think the dedication and hard work you put into martial arts, I think it gives you life lessons. I think you can, you know, implement them in your life. The discipline and the hard work. Yeah, it goes hand in hand.
yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. But what would you say is the long-term vision of Sidekick? Yeah, what would you say like you'd like to kind of see long-term over the next 5 years? That is.
Well, like I just said, I mean, sponsor something like one championship. I mean, it's a bit of a dream, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It's sponsor something like one championship or the UFC, still sort of sponsoring big names, if you can if you can get them. Yeah, all that sort of thing, really. And even maybe just taking Sidekick to come and help something name, for sort of clothing and sort of streetwear. I mean, that would be brilliant in itself. So yeah, who knows?
Definitely, man. Definitely. But look, thank you for that, Dan, man. You've been great. Really enjoyed this interview, extremely informative as well. And yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of seeing the growth of Sidekick, man, in the future, like going forward as well. But look, the last word goes to
Thank
you,
you.
Dan. So, plug anything that you'd like to plug.
Well,
Mention
if
any
anyone wants
sponsors.
to any boxing gloves that Andrew Tate used to use, here
Yeah,
they are. You can
man.
still get them now, even today, because it was a bit of a calling for them. So I had to sort of bring them back, so it's people wanted
100%.
them.
Hey, Andrew, come back on, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Come back on. Come on. But yeah, all links will be down below. But thank you, Dan.
No, thank you so much, Ash. Yes.
Thank you, man.